One Sunday before we can celebrate the feast of Christ, the universal King, the church invites us to a reflection on a part of Mark's eschatological discourse to ask ourselves how we will prepare for the coming of the King. The gospel text of today, taken from Mark chapter 13, verses 24 to 32, is part of Mark's eschatological discourse. The English word eschatological comes from the Greek eschaton, which means the last things, the things of the afterlife, the things that will take place after we have exited from this life and go into eternal life. And so Jesus gives his disciples and us instructions on that preparation. In the verses that we will read today, we are given instructions by Jesus about reading the signs of the times. Jesus says to his disciples that it is easy from the manner in which the trees and nature changes to determine which season it is. When something happens, we can say it will be hot. When another thing happens, we can say it will be cold. When something else happens, we will say it may rain. So we are able to read the signs of the times. Today, we can forecast the weather, not only for today and tomorrow, but also possibly for a week and more ahead. So we have made tremendous advances in reading the signs of the times, and they are good to warn those on the high seas, for example, to warn those on land, for example, of how they must behave. So it is good, it is advantageous to be able to read the signs of the times, whether it is the signs about nature, whether it is political signs, whether it is any other kind of sign, even economic signs, for example, how the market will it be volatile, will the market be stable, will the share prices rise, will they reduce, and so on. So because we are aware and we can read the signs of the times, we can make decisions. However, Jesus says about the time when each one of us will be taken away, that no one knows. And he is so emphatic when he says no one knows. He goes on to say that not even the Son knows. In other words, Jesus admits that he himself is not aware of when the end will be. And therefore, what must we do? How must we respond? We must respond by living this particular moment as if it was going to be my last. And the truth is, the reality is that it could well be my last moment. Sometimes we may imagine that because we are keeping very good health, because the doctors have told us that we are going to live for another 30 or 40 years, we take for granted that this is the way it is going to be, but that is not so. The reality is, and the truth is, that while we will take as good care of ourselves as is possible, while we will eat healthy, while we will exercise, while we will do all that is required to look after our bodies in the best possible manner, we will still not know if when we are in perfect health, the Lord will want to call us to himself. That date, that hour, that moment is not known. And therefore, the only way to live life fully, the only way to prepare for that moment, the only way to prepare for the coming of Christ, the universal King, is to follow the dictum of the Jesuit saint John Berkins. He lived by a very, very simple dictum which he got for himself, namely, Arge quod argis. 3 Latin words which mean in English, do what you are doing. Living in the present moment is a tremendous challenge. The manner in which we live is that we often have regrets about the past, about things we have not done, about things we ought to have done, about the manner in which we did those things, or we are obsessed with the future. What will the future bring? What will happen tomorrow? And the reality is that there is no tomorrow. As a matter of fact, today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. And so, because there is no tomorrow, and because yesterday has gone, the way to live life fully, the only way to live life is by living in this moment. When I live in this moment, when I am doing what I am called to do at every single moment, whether it is my moment to relax, whether it is my moment to exercise, whether it is my moment to work, whether it is my moment to rest and sleep, whether it is my moment to eat, when I'm doing what I have to do at every single moment, there is no tension, because Jesus says, the Son of Man is coming on the clouds, not to scatter. The Son of Man is coming to gather and to embrace all of us. The question is, will I be ready when this Son of Man comes? And the only way to be ready is to follow this beautiful dictum of John Berkman's and to RJ Code Argus, to do what I am doing. If I am able to live in a manner where I have no regrets about the past, though I learn from my past for the present, if I will plan for the future, but I will not obsess about it, then I can live in the present. When I have the first sip of my cup of coffee, then I'm really tasting the coffee. I'm not thinking of washing the cup. I'm not thinking of placing the cup back on the rack. I'm thinking only of drinking and enjoying this cup of coffee or tea or whatever other beverage you like. Living life in this moment is not only the only way to live, it is the prudent way to live, and it is the way to prepare for the coming of the Lord and to prepare for my going to the Lord whenever the Lord decides to call me. Are you a person who has too many regrets about the past? Will you stop regretting the past and learn from it? Are you a person who is too obsessed with the future? Will you plan for the future and stop obsessing? Are you a person who will live in the present moment, who will live in the now?